How you guys doing? My name's Matt Balducci and welcome to the Slight Edge Book Reviews. And today, guys, I'm going to cover an amazing book that I highly recommend all of you guys go get right now, which is Principles by Ray Dalio. Now, before I dive into the book and I give you my top 3 takeaways, I want to explain why I'm making this portion of my channel. My number 1 goal and mission here is to motivate and get more people to read books. And the reason for that, guys, is that I believe books change lives. The books I've read in my life have completely changed my world. And here's why that happens is because you literally can pick up a book, and here's the deal. I would never probably at this time in my life get to meet Ray Dalio, who's a billionaire, and I get to basically take into account the book that he wrote, and I get to learn from him, and I have mentors all over the world that have great success. And even though I don't get to physically meet them yet, I get to basically pick their brains and steal their knowledge from them that they have taken years and years and years of their life to learn and build. So that's why, guys, I highly recommend subscribing to this channel, because I'm going to be reading 1 book a week for the entire 2018 year, and I'm going to be posting 1 book review a week on amazing books throughout the entire year. So hopefully you enjoy. So let's dive in. So before I give you my top 3 takeaways, what I want you guys to understand is this book is extremely long, but it's 100% worth the read. I highly recommend getting it. Understand that typically most books take me 2 to 5 days to read or listen to. This book took me 2 weeks. Here's why. 1, it's super long, but 2, it has over 100+ principles in it that I highly recommend you slow down, take notes on. And today, when I give you my top 3 takeaways, just know that I'm just scratching the surface of this book. Okay. Now, Ray Dalio is a billion-dollar investor. If you don't know who he is, he actually founded and started Bridgewater, which is an investment banking company, and it holds the most investments worldwide, well over multi-billion dollars worth of investments, which is unbelievable. It's the number 1 investment company. So that, just to put that into perspective, okay, the number 1. So when you read this book, understand this guy probably knows what he's talking about when it comes to building businesses, organizations. And the coolest part, guys, I won't have time in this video to go into it, but he actually explains a lot about how he does his investing. So if you're an investor, he actually explains how he came up with the algorithms and how he uses automation and different ways that other companies don't to figure out what is the winning investment. So again, super successful guy. Look him up on Google. Highly recommend taking a look at it. I would probably say that he's either equal or better than Warren Buffett. Okay, so let's dive into my top 3 takeaways. So the first one, guys, is that personality matters. So Ray Dalio actually has every person that works with him or in his organization take a Myers-Briggs personality test. Now, here's the greatest part for me. I've actually been doing that for the last 3 years of my business, where I have every one of my employees and management team take a Myers-Briggs test. Now, here's the greatest part. Like I said earlier, what this book did is it stamped that I should continue doing that, and also it actually gave me a couple other ideas, which the first one is he makes a book review on that person. So essentially a baseball card with their statistics of their strengths and their weaknesses. So the cool part about that is then when he has a project, he actually has all the cards come out, and him and his management team actually take the baseball cards of the people, and he puts the right teams together with the strengths and the weaknesses of each person. Now, at first, people probably think that's weird, but here's the truth of the matter is it's actually the complete right way to do it, because you're putting the right people in the right seats on the bus. And I'm a huge fan of making sure the right person is in the right position based on who they are and their personality. So to give you an example, it'd be dumb of me to take somebody who's super shy, quiet, and put them in a sales role. It wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, so again, you want to put the right people in the right positions, and how you do that is you understand everyone's strengths and their weaknesses. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm down below in the description. I'm going to put a free Myers-Briggs test. You should take it, and you'll see that it's 100% accurate. Okay, not 100%, but it's very, very close, and it's going to freak you out as if they know who you are. Now, I'm not going to spill the beans and tell you what my personality is. You can take a guess. But, and I would actually recommend down below in the comments, first subscribe so you can get book reviews like this every week. But I want you to take a quick guess on what you believe my Myers-Briggs personality is, and we'll see who is the lucky winner. Okay, so that's the first one, guys, is that understanding strengths and weaknesses of your employees is huge. Now, understanding your strengths and weaknesses is even more valuable, because then you can put yourself in the right position in your company or in a company you work for. So again, this book is mainly for anybody. Well, it's really for anyone, but it is really powerful for the business owners out there, the salespeople, anybody who is in charge of hiring people that are running businesses and so on. Takeaway number 2 is that the cost of hiring the wrong person is extremely high for 2 things in your company. 1, money and time, right? And 2, it can actually completely destroy your culture if you bring the wrong person into your company. So here's the crazy part. So I run a multi-million-dollar business currently, and I've actually learned this the hard way. So in the last 4 years, my business went from 0 to $2.7 million in revenue. Along the way, we've obviously grown very, very rapidly. And in the 4 years, 3 of the 4 years, we were extremely selective. I had the perfect hiring process. But then year 4, I got lazy and I wanted to have fast growth. So we actually completely changed our recruiting method to be easier and easier to get a job at our company. And ultimately what happened is we overhired and we hired 100 of the wrong salespeople. And what ended up happening is we had a lot of people actually either get fired or not make it through our program, which then completely hurt everyone else that was selling for us. Now, we still grew. We had a great year. But the craziest part about that, guys, is it actually almost blew my business up. And so this year, we actually came back and I completely changed my recruiting system to be even more selective. And the reason that I like this book again is it completely stamps that decision that I made, that hiring the right people the right way is 100% the only way when you're building a team. So to think about it from this perspective, it'd be like taking a 110-pound person and putting them at linebacker in a football game. That would be dumb. You're actually going to get that person hurt, and it's going to hurt the team. So if you can hire the right people that you like, that fit your culture, and put them in the right position, which then goes back to the whole Myers-Briggs thing, then ultimately what you're going to find is you're going to be able to grow very, very fast and very, very rapidly, and you're going to have a great organization, whether it's a team, a business, a sports team, anything of that nature. And that's the number 2 takeaway for me. Number 3 takeaway, which is actually my favorite. Okay, and the reason it's my favorite is it coincides with the book Power of Habit, okay, by Charles Duhigg, which I actually have a book review on that. So if you go to my other videos, you can watch my book review on that and my top 3 takeaways from that book. But here's what Ray Dalio talks about. And I love, love, love the package that he gives you and the way he explains it. Is he says basically if you have a massive goal, okay, so for instance, I'm trying to become a bodybuilder, which is a huge goal for me because it requires a lot of change in my life, which was changing my entire eating program and changing how I work out and working out with a personal trainer, and you have this massive goal. Some people out there just want to lose some weight, or they want to start a business, or they want to do something huge in their life. What he explains is that there's 3 consequences to any sort of goal like that. So the first consequence is pain and realizing you suck. Now I have a couple of videos out there that break this down, which is action equals results, which equal motivation. And then I have one which explains the 4 phases of success, which I highly recommend you guys go check out. But Ray Dalio, again, stamped those concepts. And so he explains that in the first situation, you're gonna feel pain. So in that first scenario with the consequence number 1, which is the pain consequence, that is when you realize that it takes time, energy, and sometimes money to make your goal happen. And sometimes it's painful. So working out, for instance, it's tiring, you get sore, and so a lot of people quit. But what you have to understand is consequence number 2, which is the results start coming in. And you start seeing the results, which is amazing. And then consequence number 3 is you get more motivated and you start that as a habit. So again, I think that's a massive concept that everyone out there can understand now. It's a simple one, and some of you guys are saying, well, Matt, I already understand that. Here's the deal. If you've ever set a goal and didn't finish it, then you didn't understand it. I've been there. I have been in the situation where I hit consequence 1 and you hit pain and discouragement and you stop. But understand that through pain and discouragement is consequence number 2, which is result. That's why I'm putting out so much video content, because I understand that over time it will work itself out. And even though in the beginning I'm gonna have slower subscribers and slower views, that eventually it's gonna pop. And about 2 years from today, I'll have 50 to 100,000 subscribers, which is really cool. So with that being said, subscribe below. So those are my top 3 things, guys, that I took, which is personality matters, okay? Understanding Ray Dalio's consequences, consequence 1, 2, and 3, which lead you into hitting your big goals. And then last but not least, which was my takeaway, which is if you hire the wrong people, it will completely cost you more than you think. So I'm gonna give you one extra bonus. So my 4th takeaway, and again, there's hundreds of takeaways, guys, I had, and this is my 4th and bonus one for you, which is entitlement, okay? Entitlement versus generosity. So what did Ray Dalio mean by this, or at least what I took from Ray Dalio, is that in his company, you can be generous, and he was extremely generous, and I'm not gonna beat you guys over the head with his stories. You need to read the book for him. But I'll give you I'll give you one story that he told in the book, which is that he actually was very generous. So he would pay, if someone got sick, he would actually make sure that his employees got to go to his doctors. But what he did not do is he didn't give dental insurance. And he said that he did not give them the little stuff because he figured that that stuff they would take care of themselves. But he was extremely generous if anything major happened. And that's important to understand. Now, what he meant by generosity is in your company, you don't have to be equal. You don't have to give everyone equal generosity. But what you want to protect yourself from is entitlement, which unfortunately happened in my company last year. A lot of my employees and my managers got entitled, and in my business, it's really cool. We actually take our sales force to Montreal, Canada, Cancun, Mexico, and we do all these awesome activities throughout the entire year where every 2 to 3 weeks, we actually do an unbelievable event like paintballing or skydiving or whitewater rafting, and it's really, really cool. But what ended up happening is the people that were working for me got entitled, and they expected these different things. They didn't understand that it was me being generous by doing this, and they just thought it was just part of what was going on. Now, what I've done now is I sat all my employees down, all my managers down, and I explained to them that, listen, we don't have to do these events. I like to do the events, and we're going to continue them, but as soon as somebody shows entitlement, we're going to stop them. Now, again, for you guys out there that do manage people or run businesses, this, again, can come to bite you in the butt, and it bit me in the butt. Because then what happens is people 100% expect certain things, and you're not required to give it to them, but they expect it. So it's kind of like I have a 1-year-old. Now, he's too young for this, but I assume anybody who has older kids, it's like telling your kid to not eat candy at night, but you've been giving them candy for 3 weeks and then taking it away. You have to control that and make sure they understand, which means you have to have the hard conversation of explaining to them that this is not a requirement of you to actually give this thing to that person and that you are being generous. Now, you don't need to be a jerk about it, and you don't need to be, excuse my language, a dick, but you do need to make sure the right expectation is set so they understand that you're being generous. So again, guys, subscribe below. I know this was a quick review, and again, for such a long book, this was me just scratching the surface for you guys, and here's the deal. Go get this book. It is unbelievable when you can learn from a billionaire investor who has grown such a large company, and he's basically giving you cheat codes to win. So good luck, guys. Have fun, and I'll talk to you in our next week's book review. And again, subscribe. Talk to you later.